Hey ladies and gentlemen, Steven here from Redolessence. How's everyone doing? Thank you all so much for tuning in today. So this is a brand that I've covered a few times before on my channel. Of course, I've done Rose Poetique, Methexis, Quintessence. In today's Cephalabon contributor video, we're going to be going back to 2017. This is called Sillage Royale. This is an oud, rose, saffron, smoke, and patchouli based fragrance with some resins in here. I'm also going to tell you about a very special giveaway, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's video and I tell you all about Sillage Royale by Manos Gerakinis, and I give you my thoughts on the smell, the notes, the performance, the longevity, comparisons, so on and so forth, I do want to start things off by saying that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell icon so you could be notified whenever I do upload future videos to the channel. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you took something of value from today's episode. It would really mean a lot to me. So if you're interested in participating in the giveaway, all you have to do is shoot on over to cephalabon.com. It's going to be the first link down in the description box. After you've become a registered reader on that site, just read through the article and leave a comment. It's all you got to do, and I am rooting for you. I really hope you win. Do make sure to check back onto cephalabon.com on the date that's specified in the article so you know if you are the lucky winner. I will not be announcing the winner on this video whatsoever. Only on cephalabon.com will the winner be announced, so good luck. Here we have a fragrance by a Greek brand, Manos Gerakinis. I had the pleasure of meeting up with Manos a couple of months ago. As a matter of fact, in July, when I visited Greece after 11 years of not having visited the motherland, so to speak. And he and I had a wonderful chat, and he invited me into his atelier. Very hospitable, very down to earth, an amazing individual. And here we have his first expression of rose from what he told me. So this has rose, it has oud, saffron, a touch of smoke, even a little bit of turmeric from what I saw online. And there's a lot of really wonderful ingredients in here. Cedar wood to accompany the oud, although I think the oud is a little bit stronger. And you do have this spicy nuance in the opening with some resinous charm in the base. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on the smell. Let's start things off with the presentation. So when you spray this on, the first thing you'll notice is that this is not your typical oud rose combination. This has a lot of charm, it has a lot of personality, and it does express itself in a variety or a multitude of different ways. So it has that touch of smoke in here. I got that immediately. There's a little bit of saffron in the opening, kind of adds this exotic flair to the composition. There's also a really nice dollop of patchouli in here too. Grounds the fragrance, also adds this earthy texture, and the resins sort of convey this warm attribute in the dry down. So I love how, yes, there is oud and rose sort of sitting at the heart or sitting in their thrones, so to speak, but you also have the court, right, surrounding the king and the queen, and they make their presence known. And I love that about this fragrance, is that it's not the typical oud rose fragrance that has been done a million times before. And I think at this point, you know, even people in the Middle East are getting a little disenchanted over that blend because it's just so ubiquitous and so, you know, omnipresent. Here you have a fragrance that has a little bit of spice, a little bit of warmth, some other woodsy characteristics, and I just love that about this fragrance. The closest comparison that I can make is probably Oud Silk Mood by MFK, or maybe even the original Oud by MFK, in terms of that oud rose with a little bit of spice, but this fragrance still does its own thing, and that's where I really appreciate all of that complexity in the note breakdown. Now, I know I've also covered Rose Poetique, which was a spicy rose fragrance. That fragrance is not as woodsy as this fragrance is, and I would say, you know, this fragrance, the spice is reliant solely on the saffron, or I think that that's the ingredient that definitely conveys that spicy characteristic the strongest or the most efficiently. Overall, I love the direction that this fragrance goes in. There's just enough patchouli to ground that oud and rose. There's a touch of cedarwood to add this peppery quality in the dry down to accompany the agarwood so that it's not on its own. And you also have this resinous warmth in the base to also convey the brilliance and the opulence of this fragrance. When I smelled it, I knew right away this smells expensive. And it also has this sort of, I always say there's a couple different varieties of patchouli. So you have the dry herbal leafy patchouli, and then you have the warm chocolatey dense patchouli. I'm getting the latter in this fragrance. So it's warm, it's chocolatey, it still has a green facet about it, but it's the perfect accompaniment to the oud and the spice and the rose. A job well done by Manos Gerakinis. I look forward to the day when we cross paths again, because it truly was an honor getting to know you in person, and you're just a very kind, very down-to-earth, and very level-headed individual, and that's kind of rare these days. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, truth be told, at the end of the day, this is a unique fragrance. In terms of all of the other oud rose fragrances on the market, this one does its own thing. It has its own flair, which is not as common nowadays as it used to be. Back then, people, I think, prioritized uniqueness. Now we've set the trend of following the trends, and that's kind of what we've been seeing, not in the case of this fragrance, so I really appreciate that. Longevity on this one is about 9 hours on my skin. Projection was great for the first hour of application. It did radiate a little bit beyond an arm's length for about half an hour. Within an arm's length for another hour. It became an elbow's length scent right around hour 6, and it became a skin scent right around hour 8 or 9. So the performance for this fragrance is well above average. In terms of the versatility, because of the oud and the rose, the patchouli, the resins, the cedar, this is great for the colder weather. So fall and winter is really where it's at. This is perfectly unisex in my opinion. There's enough of that rose to create this sensual component in the heart, perfectly unisex. I think this one is great for a formal occasion, and I think this is a fragrance that will cater to the sensibilities of somebody who is a little bit more experienced when it comes to niche fragrances, as opposed to somebody who only has this sort of acute designer level knowledge about fragrances. It definitely has a certain complexity and presence about it that I think will cater to somebody who's a little bit older, a little bit more experienced. In terms of the presentation, I really like the sturdiness of the composition and the box and everything about it. The little pedestal with the foam on the inside. My final verdict on this fragrance is, if you're looking for a spicy rose with a earthy, chocolatey patchouli, really natural smelling agarwood, and really exotic spice in the opening, check out Sillage Royale. It will certainly give you a royal or opulent scent trail, as the name implies. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell icon so you can be notified whenever I do upload these videos. Give the video a thumbs up if you took something of value from today's episode. And of course, don't forget to enter the draw by visiting cephalabon.com. First link in the description. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.